everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Conversation with Evolving HR. If you have been following me and Evolving HR on social media, you will know that we recently released our 2025 HR Wellbeing Report. In that report, we found some fairly significant and quite depressing statistics out about the state of the HR profession right now. And that's what I called this conversation today, the state of HR. So I am joined by Joanne Wells from Hanoli HR and from Adam Bell from Wingate Benefit Solutions. Both of you gave me some commentary on the data and added your thoughts to the report, didn't you? So thank you very much for that, firstly, and welcome.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
This is the third year we've done this survey, and I think the thing that jumps out the most for me is that the dial hasn't really moved a huge amount. And I feel like I need to point out that it's not just the same people filling it in year on year. We had nearly 200 more people in 2025 than in 2024 filled it in, and the themes are absolutely consistent. So I would argue that when you've got nearly 600 respondents, you can make some assumptions that that's fairly typical of what people are thinking. So not to put you on the spot too much, but what was your initial feeling when you read through the data that I sent you? Were you surprised by it, not surprised by it? Was it about what you expected? Adam, I'm going to ask you that one first.
So as someone, I guess to caveat, who's never worked in HR, so I worked in role, I still work in roles now, obviously, where I speak to a lot of HR leaders and then we support HR departments with benefits, etc. When I saw the initial report, I was surprised at the numbers, like some of the numbers were very high. And then being completely open, I was kind of like, well, how does this compare to other departments? Like, how do we compare this to other areas? And it really got me thinking about like, what are the differences? And I always, like, I think we spoke about this before, Kirsty, the bit that's interesting for me when I talk to HR leaders is the fact that they are spinning so many plates. And that's probably not a very good analogy because the plates are quite heavy, the ones that HR tend to spin. And I think that's the reason that's the difference, is that not to dismiss other departments and what people are doing, but the work that people are doing in HR is heavy. Like, you're dealing with stuff that can have an impact on you mentally, emotionally, physically, because like Joanne, I think you said it before the call or before the recording started, around like, you know, people's secrets, you know, things that other people can't know. You're thinking about stuff that impacts people and impacts their lives. And I think that's like where I got to in my own understanding of it. But it still makes for shocking reading when you look at the stats, like how businesses are functioning when there is this crisis going on in HR teams around their well-being. It was interesting.
And I feel like it is a crisis. I feel like some of the numbers that we're looking at, it isn't like, oh, well, you know, there's a few that aren't happy. There's a few that are a bit overwhelmed. I mean, I've got it in front of me at the minute. 98.9% have experienced stress in their roles and 96.6% have felt overwhelmed. And I will come back to you on that first question, Joanne. You know what I'm like. My brain just sleeps.
You don't make me still something when I'm ready. I'll do it. I don't need to be invited.
Significant numbers. But yeah, okay. Let me ask you that now, then, Joanne. Was it a surprise to you, the data, or was it not?
I think the 98 point something was a surprise, just how high it was. I mean, that's almost everybody, isn't it? Almost everybody is saying that. So I think that the level of it, yes, but not the fact that that exists. That there is so much stress in this profession. No, not at all. As a 35-year veteran in HR, I've felt that from the very beginning, really, all them years ago. But it is, and it was, and still is, I suppose you're just expected to get on with it. It's. I'm not trying to compare us to nurses and the like, doctors. I'm really, really, really not, because it's a completely different, obviously, profession. But it's the same sort of burden when you're expected to deal with everybody else's trauma and everybody else's emotional baggage. You take it off them, and that's fine. That's okay to do that, because that's what you're there for. Like I was saying to Adam just before the call, yeah, you know, we're holding people's secrets. We know of situations that are going to, you know, 70% of the workforce might be losing their jobs. We know that the business owners are under pressure. The Employment Rights Act is changing every 20 minutes. And so, you know, we're trying to keep up to date with that. And we're the ones that everybody's asking the questions of. That's fine. But where do you go with it? So I've no problem with being the one that people come to unburden. And I'm happy as a HR professional to take that burden off the business owners, 100%. But I want somewhere to take that as well. Kirsty, you know, Adam, you might not know, I'm also a qualified counsellor. And as a counsellor, we have to have clinical supervision, so that the trauma and the material that we've taken off our clients, because that's what we're there to do, we have somewhere to go and somebody else takes it off us. That doesn't happen in HR. And that for me is the bit where I struggle to say, well, why not? Why we are supposed to just absorb it and then crack on. Doesn't work like that. That'll lead to burnout. That will lead to mental health issues and physical issues as well, because mental health issues can lead to physical issues as well. So, see, I told you I wouldn't need any problem finding time to say something, would I?
No, that's true. I mean, it's funny. I'm listening to you speak, and I absolutely agree. I tell you what I might do when we do the survey this year is put a few questions in about what have people done about it.
Well, this is the thing.
Because how many of you have joined a community? How many of you have spoken to a therapist or counsellor? How many of you have, you know, those sorts of things? Because we've been focusing to date on the problems, but not the solutions. And I'd be really interested to see whether people are actually taking up some of the things that are out there and that are on offer to them. Because you know, okay, the numbers haven't changed for 3 years. People are still just as stressed, still taking time off sick. But there's an increasing number of options out there.
Well, that's what has changed in the last 3 years. Is that
it is
you know, being able, there's people like me and others who are making their voices heard a bit more around LinkedIn and so on, to say, listen, I can give you that therapeutic safe space, HR professional. Come to me. I've got 35 years in HR. I'm a qualified counsellor. I have the therapeutic skills as well as the practical, commercial, whatever, you know, real skills of being in HR. I know what you are going through. So there's people like me, and we are growing in numbers. But do you use us? You know, is that being, because and if you're not, it's a bit like as well, Kirsty, as an in-house HR or a HR professional, we will say to managers, say somebody's off sick with stress, anxiety, whatever it might be, overwhelm, burnout. One of the things that we will be coaching managers on is to be saying to the employee, so what are you doing to help yourself? You know, what's your GP said? Medication, you know, self-care. What is it you're doing to help yourself as well? Here's what the company can do to help you, but what are you doing? We're not asking ourselves that question. What are we doing to help ourselves?
And that ties in, Adam, to what you were saying again before we went live about, so your company provides wellbeing and benefit solutions to organizations. You said that's driven by HR in the main.
Yeah.
But we don't always know if they're using it for themselves or if they're just thinking about everybody else in the organization.
And I imagine it's the latter, to be honest, isn't it? It's that they're, as a business, thinking, okay, we need to make sure we're doing all we can to support employee well-being, but without really considering those options for themselves. And it doesn't always have to be like that. The business has to go and buy something and everybody goes out and uses this thing they bought. It's more around the culture in the business and how you can change that sort of thing. So yeah, it's it's interesting to see how it works. And I would also say that if you want any wellbeing initiative to work in the workforce, you need it to be modelled by leadership. You need the leaders of the business to be the people like sharing stories around like how they've used X, Y, and Z to overcome something, or what they do to unwind and step away from work and that sort of thing. And if the leadership don't buy into that, chances are the HR team aren't going to be getting the support they need, because they haven't got the buy-in from the leadership, and then employee well-being strategies fail because then employees don't use them.
I mean, that's actually what I was saying in the report, and I think actually Kirsty might have pulled this out as a bit of a quote from me, because well-being is really often seen as being something that's a nice to have. It's an initiative. It's a benefit. It's an EAP scheme, or it's a this, or it's a that. That's often seen. It's seen as an add-on, when really, as you've just said, what it needs to be is really part and parcel of leadership behaviour. They should be modelling that behaviour. They should be leading that by example themselves. And I think I've not got that page open actually, but I think
I've got it here. You said well-being. Yeah. You said well-being is often positioned as an initiative rather than something that should be embedded into leadership behaviour, workload, expectations, and decision making. Yeah. That is so true. When you think about what the word well-being means, it's not. It's not like a holy grail. It should be a baseline, surely, for how we feel at work. But it's not
a fad. It's not a woke word. It's fundamental to us as human beings to be well-being. You know.
Out of interest, Adam, do you? And I might be putting you on the spot here. Do organisations tend to come to you when they think they've got a problem with their well-being that they need to fix, or do you have as many that are like, this is our starting point, we want to have this embedded from day one?
It's a mix, really, and I would say it's changed over the years, especially since COVID. Like after COVID, there was this massive rush of people saying we need to tick the box of having an employee well-being strategy, and that's what it was. It was like we need to have some stuff available so we can say we've got employee well-being ticked. Then there are some where they'll come to you and say, oh, we've done an engagement survey, or we've done X, Y, and Z, and we think we need to be doing more around employee well-being, and then that's how the conversation starts. But it's not always the case that businesses will come to you as this is a strategic pillar for our organisation, and this is how we need our benefits to align with our culture, our values, that sort of thing. And those organisations are unfortunately few and far between, but they are out there. But yeah, I guess go back to your question, it's not often the case that it's the latter.
That's disappointing. I mean, I know that I can only speak for myself and for the HR professionals that I'm familiar with, which is quite a few. I don't think I ever saw myself as an employee. I mean, we all joke about being called HR instead of our names. We joke about, we make light of it, but I think sometimes we don't see ourselves as just a person doing a job in an organization. And we know that the people in our organizations don't see us as a person doing a job, but I think that sometimes we buy into that as well. And so we don't take advantage of the things that are available for us. But
you feel like it's almost martyrish.
Oh, there's the word. Yeah. And it has to be said. I'm sorry. It has to be said. And I tried to stay away from it as much as possible in the report, because I don't want people feeling they're getting like a slap on the wrist on top of everything else. I get that. But we do lean into it a little bit as HR professionals. I have definitely been guilty of that in my earlier, like, oh, I'm so busy, and I can't talk to anybody about it. And
I don't know how it feels.
You've no idea. Yes, my life is so hard. And I've definitely done that. So that is not a criticism, but it is, I think, a trap that we fall into. And then we don't look for support, and we don't look for help, and that support and help might come in something as simple as having 2 or 3 other HR professionals that you meet for a glass of wine once a month and just go, boo, like I need to get it all out. never even did that for years. So I think that just it's there's a gap there, and I think, you know, more HR communities are popping up. There are more networking events and things like that that are popping up. I mean, what I like, networking events have always existed, but a lot of them have tended to have a business focus. But I think there also need to be events where it's just for the people in HR to get together with other people in HR and just have
That's
a
what
nice
it is to be. Yeah. And it's not about talking about casework. It's not that. There's loads of support for that. It's about being able to offload, you know, to your peers. And I just wonder, while you were talking then, Kirsty, actually, you made me think about, are we leaning into this, and is it a bit martyrish? And again, I'm with you. It's not to be critical, but it is what it is. So perhaps actually what we need to now be doing for the last 3 years, at least, if not longer, but going off how long you've been doing the survey, for the last 3 years, we've been saying, this is a problem. Maybe what we should now be saying, what are you doing about it? Right, HR professionals, you know, we've got this group over here called Evolving HR, and within Evolving HR, there's this whole heap of people who are there to support you, and then there's all this group over here, and there's this help here, and there's it. So actually, are you speaking to your manager and your chief executive in your appraisals and saying, I need some support in this? Are you finding your voice and standing up to say, this can't continue? So maybe we need to, I don't know.
It's funny because now I feel like we're getting into confidence territory, because there is a confidence element that people, if I ask for help, they're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. If I ask to join a community, and, you know, they're going to think that I can't do this on my own. And I see it. And again, I hold my hands up to all of this. Like, I have 100% done this. I did 3 standalone roles in the course of my HR career. And every time I kind of took that to mean that I had to do everything myself. Otherwise I was, you know, obviously not fit for a standalone role. And that's garbage, actually. No, you don't have to do everything yourself. I mean, you can see that that's true by seeing how people have dived on AI, because it's like, oh my God, I've got that sounding board. I can ask you, it can think about this for me, it can structure it in a different way, and it's brilliant. But it makes me wonder what everyone was doing before ChatGPT, which is only 2-3 years in, maybe 2, since everybody's been using it all the time. What were they doing before? Were they just trying to work it out themselves?
Good point.
Don't know the answer.
Absolutely. Don't know the answers to that.
Yeah.
You mean we don't have the answers to everything, Kirsty? Goodness me.
I don't, unfortunately. I really don't. But so I think, you know, I've tried to break it down in the conclusions at the end. I've tried to put recommendations for organizations and for HR professionals, because I think there's dual responsibility here, but we can't, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the EAP thing, because a lot of you were very vocal in your commentary about, you know, that alone is not the answer. You know, but just like whacking an EAP out there and assuming that everyone's going to use it is not the answer. Have you seen, Adam, companies moving away from that kind of one-dimensional model of just have an EAP and that should do you?
Yes, I would say so. But EAPs are probably still the most common product in the benefits market, as in the most amount of employees have access to an EAP over anything else. And as you know, EAPs have obviously been a bit of a tick box over the years in terms of going back to how do we support our employees? I'll just go and buy an EAP and people can talk to a counsellor or whatever it might be. So businesses still do that. I would say a lot of smaller businesses, SMEs, will have an EAP in place before anything else, which is, I'm not saying is a bad thing to do.
No.
But it, as you say, it's definitely not the answer. You can't, especially you can't turn around to your HR team and say, I know you're under a lot of pressure, guys, but we've got an EAP, so what's the because I imagine that won't go down too well, but it isn't. And, you know, EAPs are designed to support short-term issues you might be facing. This doesn't seem like a short-term issue. This is something that you need to have strategy around, something that you need to have processes in place yourself and as an organization so that people feel supported.
And even still, Adam, when you were talking then and describing EAP and what it does and its value, which it does have, in my brain, I'm listening to you and thinking, yeah, but that's with employees, but not for HR. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, HR is employees. Why are we not using the EAP as? So even on this call, I'm thinking, but
That's
staff don't use it.
else.
It's maybe not right for EAPs. Sometimes the staff use them, sometimes they don't. I'm thinking, we're not talking about just staff here. So, well, we are actually. We should be including HR in that. We should be separating them, but they do get separated. But yeah.
To what extent, Adam, do you think, and this again, I apologize for my cynicism, it's just baked in at this point in my life. To what extent do you think some companies use EAPs as a way of absolving themselves of any responsibility towards their employees' well-being?
Yeah, it's a challenging one, isn't it? Because some organizations will just say, I don't want to have that conversation with my employees. Like, you use the EAP for that. Which again, in some instances that could be the right thing to do. Not everyone's an expert on how to deal with with more difficult issues. But you're not addressing the root cause of the problems that you might have within your organization. All you're doing is, okay, yes, you're stressed, we've got an EAP, off you go, rather than saying what's causing that. Like, why are you getting to this point of burnout, or why are you getting to this point at any point in time, and then trying to address that problem. I think that's where we need to focus. It's the prevention rather than the treatment of the problem.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny looking at it again as well, that some of the issues that come up regularly for HR around not feeling appreciated, people being disrespectful to them, so much of that comes down to people's perceptions of the HR function. And I talk about this a lot in the SPICE program that I do, is that people form perceptions of HR based on their own experience. There's nobody in an organization setting rules for how to treat HR at an organizational level. I think we all bring individual opinions based on our own experiences. So what you tend to find every time you go into a new role or a new organization as an HR professional, you've got a load more opinions of what people think you're there to do and whether they like you or not. And I think that is fairly unique to the HR profession. You don't hear marketing managers and finance managers going, God, I got there and everyone already hated me. Like that doesn't tend to happen so much. But I think there's a lot of work that HR need to do with leadership teams to kind of address that, to address how we're seeing organizations. But I also think we need to stand up for ourselves more as well, and not just accept the status quo. Oh, everyone hates me and they want me to do every single induction session, and that I've got to type up notes for this and that because that's the way it's already been done. We need to challenge that.
Imagine what it's like then, Kirsty, when, I'm assuming the example, what you were talking about then, you had in-house in mind. But imagine being the one then that's brought in as a project lead to perhaps lead a restructure that leads to redundancies. So, because of course, business owners will outsource the likes of me, or they get my expertise in to help them manage. And then I've been brought in, and I'm the one, because it's my fault, obviously, but I'm the one then that's driven the restructure that's led to the redundancies, that's led to that. So, you definitely, and then you walk off into the sunset, and so, you definitely, and you don't have that time to be able to make that impression, or you don't have that time to build them relationships with people and for people to get to know you, because you've been brought in to do a very specific piece of work. And absolutely, that's brilliant, because that's where our expertise is. And I would rather be pulled into an organisation to do that so that it's done properly. What employees don't realise in that scenario is I'm making sure it's done properly, and I'm making sure that they're treated in the right way and that they're treated with respect and compassion. Whereas if you leave it to most leaders, they wouldn't, because they don't necessarily appreciate or understand or even agree with the legal process that has to be followed in them scenarios. So actually, that's frustrating as well, because you think, I'm here to make sure that you guys are taken care of. It's not ideal because obviously, if the end result is, unfortunately, there's job losses, but at least I'll make sure that you're treated with respect and treated with compassion and treated with care while you're going through a difficult time.
It is a little different when you're not an employee and you're in that position, though, as an HR consultant, because I think, firstly, people listen to you and believe what you say when you're a consultant because they're paying a higher rate for it.
Yep. True.
But equally, the conversations that you're having are not with people that you've worked with for years and who know you. And so it enables
really
you to be a bit more outside it. Yeah. But it's that when we look at things like performance feedback for HR, training opportunities for HR, they don't get handed to us. But we have to take responsibility for going out and making that happen ourselves to some extent. We had a performance review. Again, I need to be asking these questions. How many of you have asked for one? Because I think it was, let me have a look at the report. I think it was about 40% of people had not had a review in the last 12 months. Let me have a look. Was it 38 point something? 36 did not have a performance review, which is great because it means that, 60 odd percent did, but 36.8%, that's still quite a lot. That's still, a quarter.
Oh, it's over a third.
No, it's not. It's a third, Kirsty. I can't do math. But so it's, I don't know, there's an interesting mix, isn't there? And I think we've tried to cover it from every angle in our report, but I'm definitely going to start asking some questions this year around solutions rather than just problems. I think that'll be more valuable to people going forward if and it's not even about saying like, here are some solutions for you, but I would like to understand whether people are taking steps or whether some of these people that have reported, burnout and loneliness, if they were the same people that said that last year, because what is that expression? If you don't change anything, nothing changes.
Yeah.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
That's a good one. I like that one. But that's what I think. That's the next step for this is to find out, do you want to do something about it? Do you want to be answering this survey the same way in 3 years' time? Yeah. Or would you I would love to see, God, can you imagine if I went in 1 year and looked at the data and it was like only 20% have felt overwhelmed? Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that would be a big jump. But
we can try.
Anyway, it's I find it absolutely fascinating, slightly disappointing, and actually just fires me up to continue trying to shine a light on some of these problems and trying to encourage people across the HR profession to, take joint responsibility with their employers and try and make it better for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you, for joining me today. And to anybody who's watching this, please, I'll put a link below for you to download the report. Please do have a look at it. My email address is on there. I would love to hear from anybody who's got any thoughts about it or comments about it. We'll be launching the survey for 2026. Is that, that's the year we're in right now. For 2026 on the 1st of November, I've already decided. So it'll be going out about 3 weeks before we have our conference, but going to leave it out there for November and December this year for people to complete.
Excellent.
And, fingers crossed.
Look forward to that.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. See you soon.